I guess 5 to 5. We'll do 5 to 5. 5:55. Yeah. Make
5
sense?
to 6. 5 to 6.
5 to 6. Yeah.
Same times to share at your house on Shabbos?
7 o'clock.
Oh, 7 o'clock. 7. This time we'll have mincha though. At least I think.
Thanks, you were at davening with the minions.
Avi, you missed Aron's line last night about the bikers. Forgot to tell you.
Why wouldn't we have mincha?
Oh,
I
wait,
don't know.
I want to hear the line about the bikers. Wait, 1 second.
No,
Great. I'm
Not
ready to
now.
start again.
We're not bringing it up again. No, it was a good one. We'll tell you in the morning, Bez Hashem.
Listen to the
Pretty good.
tape. Listen to the daf.
That's right. Go on the dot.
Okay. I need to hear the line again.
Yesterday? Who asked yesterday about the mun? How did they put the mun away in a jar? Somebody
Yeah,
asked.
I think Michael.
Yeah, Michael. It's Michael.
Listen, because a fellow went on to the YouTube today, and he said that somebody brought it up that the Rogachover asks this kasha.
Really? Well,
Yeah, that's pretty good, right?
that's
So I
pretty
have
good.
two questions.
Michael, that is pretty good.
On YouTube. On YouTube, well, yeah, no, I think it was on Twitter that the guy saw that the Rogachover asked this question.
The Rogachover was on YouTube?
I guess so. I don't know.
I hear.
If the rugged chosen for
I'm just checking, you know what I mean?
But I mean, there's a different kasha. I mean, the Rogachover has a lots of kashas. I mean, this one doesn't seem like it should be one that should pass everybody else until the Rogachover, if it's such a good kasha, no? So I
You
don't know.
you have to see. I mean, we'd have to see what the passuk says when Hashem told Moshe to put it away. What he told him, what the
Yeah, I didn't see the teretz though.
I mean, are we surprised by that Nisim happened? Like, we can't just cough it up to a nace?
What? A nace that they put it away, to put the mun away in a jar?
And it stayed fresh?
No, that's not what he said. That's what the heta was to put it away.
What's the problem with putting it away?
You weren't allowed to put it away. You had to pick it up every morning. You weren't allowed to. You weren't allowed to save it.
That portion was a zeicher. It didn't belong to anybody in particular. It wasn't anybody's that was left over. It was medafka put away by Moshe Rabbeinu as a zeicher la'ola.
I know. So you're saying it's a special dispensation?
It never belonged to anybody, so it was never left over.
You mean, unless you, okay, that's used for you saying that there isn't an isser to leave over mun. Right?
Yeah.
I hear. Maybe.
Aaron, I have a bigger taina. Aaron, there's a bigger taina here. We have a class action lawsuit against Rubbermaid. They think they have the patent on the containers.
I hear. Maybe that's where they got. Okay. Maybe that's
Is Rubbermaid a yid? First, you have to know, is Rubbermaid a yid?
Oh, I don't know. Probably
You
a
have to
publicly
find
traded.
out first.
Probably a
Then
publicly traded company, I would imagine.
If it's a yid, then don't do that to them.
Yeah.
Better hold off on that
Okay.
attorney call you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Rubbermaid is actually a privately held company to this
Oh
day.
yeah?
See
Okay,
that?
Correct.
there you go. Aaron Barak, you see that?
I'm good for some things. This is one of them.
There you go. Okay, so let's go. Yeah. So we
He's
left
our Wall
off.
Street analyst.
Okay, we left off by Omar Mar on Nun Gimel Amud Aleph, about 6-7 wide lines, 6-7 lines up from the wide lines. Omar Mar. That's what we're discussing the ketores. Oh, by the way, I made a cheshbon. I think we're be'erach a fifth of the way through Shas, which is pretty good. B'li ayin hara. I think we're right around a fifth of the way. So 4 more of these, and we make it. Bez Hashem. So, Gershon just logged on now. So he probably have a different way of looking at it. But yeah,
Oh, what did I miss?
I just said. I think
Yaakov,
we're
say it easy. Say it easier. We're almost at the
What's it?
second year anniversary.
that's
Four
okay,
more of
we're not. We
these.
still got another 6 months, but we're 6 months
One
for
and
the
a half.
second. 1.5. 1.5 means we went through 20% of Shas. That's all.
I don't know, I think you should say this after a few days of easy dafim, not a few days of hard dafim.
These are not hard dafim. These are easy dafim.
No, they're
This-
not. No, they're not.
Yesterday's daf was easy. Today's daf is easy.
Yesterday's daf went flying over my head with all the okay. Say,
Shine,
Okay.
Shine, that's
You'll
our
judge
fault
for tonight.
also. Okay, I hear.
Tonight is relatively easy, I think. Okay, so let's see. Omar Ma.
I didn't even get the line about cyclists yesterday. That's how far it went over my head.
You must have been tired. Okay, so Omar Ma, yeah.
See what happens when you don't do the shear in person?
That's right.
You're welcome, Yaakov.
Yeah.
I hope next week to start again.
Okay, so Omar Ma.
And open your
yeah?
mouth.
3, 6, again, 7 lines up from the bottom, from the wide lines. Omar Ma. Right? How do you know that you need to put in the whatever, the I don't know, what do you call it? Not the vegetable, the spice to make the smoke go up. It says that it should cover over, that the smoke should cover over everything. So Gemara asks, Kra lakra, you're bringing a passuk to a passuk. We just said yesterday, I mean, on the top of the daf, that we know that from the passuk that the tzedukim learn it out from. Right, that's how we know. So why do we need? We need to bring one passuk to prove another passuk. So Rav Yosef, this is what it's saying. That's only going to tell you the leaves. Ikar maila ashan minayin. What about the ikars, the stalk? Right? How do you know that the stalk you could use as the spice? So it's going to tell you v'chisa. So it's either the leaves or the stalk. So Abaye asked, well, if Tanya, we learned mamish the opposite. The Tanya nosan but ikar. If you put in the stalk, the main part of the spice, mila ashan, that's going to make smoke go up. And then it would make a metamer, means it would make like a cloud and go up like a stick. It would go straight up until it reached the roof. And since it reached the roof, then it would travel along the roof and then go along the walls, right? Until the whole house gets filled with smoke. The house is going to get filled with smoke. So you see here, Beferish in the Brisa, that you do the ikar. The ikar is the one, meaning the what do we call it? The ikar, right? The ikar, the stalk is the one that makes it, right? Yeah. So Elamar Abaya, so Abaya says, Hachi Kamar, ainly ele ikar ma'alash. And not only, we only know one of the psukim. If you only had one passuk from the Torah, that would tell you about the stalk. Olamaila Oshan Minai, but about the leaves. So we just switch it. We switch it. That one pasuk is talking about the stalk, the other pasuk is talking about the leaves. Fine. So Rav Sheshes Amar, Sheshes has a different teretz. Yeah. This only tells you that you needed to make the whole oil moed, which was the equivalent of the kodesh hakodashim in the Mishkan. That's what it tells you in the midbar. Shiloh, basically, but in the midbar, the Mishkan and Shiloh, which came after the midbar, they was there for 13 years, and then the Beis HaMikdash, which we saw before, is called the Beis Elam, the forever house. And how do you know that also needs to have smoke? So that's what Bechisa tells you, that they all need to have that. So the Gemara asks, that it says also do it for the oil moed, right? So then that tells you that pasuk tells you that it always needs to be. So you don't need the other two psukim. Ella, so Gemara says, okay, so that can't be pshat. Ella hachikama, this is what it's saying. Ainly ella b'yom kippurim. This only tells you that on Yom Kippur you have to fill up the whole kodesh hakodashim with smoke. All the other years, obviously, in all the other days of the year, that's not talking about the kodesh hakodashim, because you don't do the ketores in the kodesh hakodashim. That you do on the mizbeach hapnimi, Right. So how do you know that the whole area there has to fill up with smoke? So that's what V'chisa is coming to tell you. That's the second teretz. Rav Ashi Omar, the reason why you need two pasukim, Rav Ashi says, is chad la mitzvah v'chad la akav. Yeah.
Isn't the passuk V'chisa talking about the kodesh hakodashim? V'chisa anana kapyrus, no?
Correct.
I don't know. I'm outside, and yet it tells us.
I think we're just mixing it all together.
kodesh.
As long as, yeah. So I think we're just mixing it all together. We're just saying that we're learning out a kloliistic rule about all ketores. But I can't say for sure that that's pshat. That's the way I understood it.
Where do they burn the ketores normally throughout the year?
In the mizbeach hapnimi.
And that would there would be an
Mizbeach.
inyan that it would
A
fill up
small
the whole
mizbeach.
room?
That filled up the heichal, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm saying
You mean it's much bigger? It's much bigger.
It's bigger, and I don't know if the door is open, if it's an open space, so then it doesn't really ever fully fill up.
Right.
Definitely not to the same degree as the kodesh hakodashim.
L'chayra, you would think you would need a lot more ketores to fill up that room. Maybe it doesn't mean you have to fill it up. Maybe you just fill up that area.
Out with?
But I don't know. What do you say?
Did we come out with if there was really doors that led into that opened and closed in the heichal?
From the heichal to where? To the Azara?
No, leading into the heichal.
From where? From the Azara?
From the ulam.
From the ulam? I don't know. I don't remember. Well, we don't do midas in the daf. So we have to do. Maybe we should make a. We should have done that, Taka. Make a mishnayis midas. That would have been very kedai before we did this. Except it's very hard, right? Okay. Rav Ashi Omar, third teretz. Chad la mitzvah v'chad la akav. One is talking about for a mitzvah, and one is ma'akav. Right? Which means, well, what does that mean? Of course it's ma'akav. Right? So no, what it means is that it's ma'akav that you have to make the mixture. That's what it means. Right? So one is telling you if it's a mitzvah, and one is telling you it's actually ma'akav. Yeah? One is going to tell you the punishment, right? Meaning if you leave out the ma'ila asham, we said yesterday, if you leave out the ma'ila asham, you leave out that spice, you chayav misah. So for every chayav misah, you need a passuk to tell you the punishment, and you need a passuk to tell you what to do.
Who made it? Who made it?
The what do you call it? What's the name of them again? That family.
Beis Avtinas?
Beis Avtinas, yeah, thank you.
Who's
Right?
chayav misah? The kohen? The kohen?
If he brings it without that spice,
How does he know what they put in and what they didn't put in?
I don't know. I guess he has to trust him, no?
And if he does, he has to trust them. And if they make a
He
mistake,
had
he's
it had hashgacha. But that's space of Migdash gave hashgacha. No.
Yeah, you sure? I don't know. You're right. I don't know.
I mean, Beis Avtinas wouldn't tell anybody how to make it, but Badatz gave him the hechsher.
Well, they gave hechsher on Coca-Cola, new, and nobody knows the recipe, right? So
the Coca-Cola is the recipe for the ketores. That's the raya for the ketores.
He's saying you could still give a
you
hashgacha
just
even though you don't know the
your
ingredient.
tiner was nobody knows. I'm telling you, so that you could see that somebody did know. That's all. The mashgiach knew. The CRC doesn't stand for Chicago hechsher; it stands for Kahanim hechsher.
Okay. But basically, the Tosfos Yeshanim says that you don't have to make the ketores on Yom Kippur. You make the ketores before Yom Kippur, right? That's essentially what he's saying. But I don't know, Taka. I mean, I imagine they'd be over on Lifnei Iver at the minimum, the Beis Avtinas, if they didn't put it in there. No, that's what I would think. Okay. One is for a punishment, one is for a Azara, right? Because again, every time you have a punishment in the Torah, there needs to be a passuk that tells you, that warns you, and one that tells you the punishment. Fine. Tanya, Rebbi Eliezer Omer, v'lo yomus, it says v'lo yomus, yeah? So they shouldn't die. Kiba onon eroa azhara. And because you have to see with the smoke, that's an azhara. Right, meaning don't leave out the what do you call it? The ma'ila asham. Yeah, So the Gemara says, Yachlu Shneim Amurin Kaidem Misas B'nei Aron. So you would think that this was said before the Misas B'nei Aron, meaning the Gemara is thinking now, right? Nadav and Avihu, right? So the first, right, we just had this a few weeks ago. It wasn't a few weeks ago already, but a couple of months ago now. But so Nadav and Avihu died. So the Gemara is thinking now, the reason why they died is because they did not bring the ketores. They brought the ketores, but improperly. So you would think that the warning was said before. It says after the death of the Bnei Aron. So it came afterwards. So you would think that both are said after the Misas Bnei Aron. That's what it says, that in a cloud of smoke, he's gonna appear, right? He's gonna be seen on top of the ketores. Yeah, okay, Tzad, what's a pshat in this? Azhara kaidem misah. The azhara, the warning, came before they died, before Nadav and Avihu died. V'aynesh achar misah, but the aynesh came after misah. My Talmudah, right? So how do you know this? What's the Gemara that tells us this? Amar Rava, Amar Kroki ba'anan era. It says that he's going to appear in the cloud. Vadayin loy nira, but he did not appear yet, right? Meaning Hashem did not yet let the Shechina go. They'll come down to kodesh. If that's the case, so then why'd they get punished for, right? If the einish wasn't said till after Nadav and Avihu did the chet, then why'd they get punished for it? The Torah didn't tell you yet there was a punishment. So Gemara says, Gemara answers, because they paskin halacha before in front of Moshe the Rebbi. Right? What they do? My dorish. What was the drasha that they made? That the Bnei Aron should put fire on the mizbeach. Afal what was their drasha? That even though even though we know that the fire comes down from Shemayim onto the mizbeach, mitzvah lavim in a hedyet. There's still a mitzvah to bring it from the hedyet, from the kehanim, right? Like we learned a couple of weeks ago, right? That the second base of Mikdash, the fire sometimes came down, sometimes it didn't come down from Shemayim. But even though the fire is coming down from Shemayim, still the kehanim have a mitzvah to put it on, which is true. The whole limud is true, but they decided this limud in front of Moshe Rabbeinu, which they weren't allowed to do.
There are several Rishonim who give other answers as to why they died.
Correct. Tosis goes through a couple of them. The bottom Tosis. Yeah, what are you saying?
No, I don't understand. If the Gemara says this is what it was, is that the final?
I mean, how did the Rishonim give a different shot?
Many.
Yeah, because the Rishonim are quoting other it's midrashim, so it's also from the Amoraim or Tanoim, right? They quote. I don't know all of them, but Tosis quotes from Toras Kohen, right?
Could it be just as not the ironclad opinion? This is not the last word. I mean,
could be, maybe, yeah, could be. I don't know. I was wondering that myself. If the Gemara here says beferish, why they died, right? Yeah.
Gemara, the Taisa springs from a Gemara Sanhedrin.
Yeah, but the Chumash says Eish Zara. They brought an Eish Zara. Why are you going to go fight with that?
Right. There's a lot. It's a very interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of medrashim on why they died. Okay.
And this is also it's a brisa. And then you go to Sanhedrin. There's the Toras Kohen. It's a very interesting thing. All these different shtatim of why they died. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So now we get into actually halacha l'maisa Gemara here, right? That's been a while since we had that, right? So the kohen would back out of the kodesh hakodashim. He wouldn't turn around, right? He came in. We learned yesterday. He came in. He walked, headed south, stopped in front of where the Aron was, put down the ashes, then put the ketores on it, and then he backed out. He walked out backwards. He went out the way he came in. How do we know that he did that? Labama asher begivon Yerushalayim. Well, it's really Yerushalayim. It's spelled without the yud. But okay. So anyway, so Shlomo came to the bama. What was in Givon Yerushalayim, right? So what does that mean? In Givon Eitzel Yerushalayim. What does Givon have to do with Yerushalayim? They're not anywhere near there. Right? Ela makish yitziyosem migivon liyerushalayim lebiyosem Yerushalayim legivon. We make a hekesh. We compare the way he left from Givon to Yerushalayim to the way he came from Yerushalayim to Givon. Ma biyosai Yerushalayim mi Yerushalayim legivon. Just the way he came from Yerushalayim to Givon. Panav klape bama kederach biyosai. His face was obviously going towards the bama. The bama is what they used for mizbeach back then. So same thing when he left from Givon to go back to Yerushalayim, his face always stayed towards the bama the way he came in, which means he walked backwards. All right. Now, does that mean that he walked backwards from Givon all the way to Yerushalayim? That's what it sounds like. No. I don't know how far it was, but we need Shmuley for that. But it's that's a long walk to walk backwards.
He says here from Rabbeinu Yakim. He says here
Yeah.
from Rabbeinu Yakim, the Gemara does not mean that he walked the entire distance from Givon to Yerushalayim backwards. Rather, the Gemara means his departure from the Bama was done this way, and afterward he turned around and traveled to Yerushalayim in a normal manner.
I hear it. But he doesn't say at what point he turned around.
No,
we
he does not.
said later on, it's when you don't see him anymore.
That's for a Rebbi.
So same thing here.
Okay, I'm saying, but it's an interesting thing that nobody discusses it. From the Gemara, it's mashma. I don't know.
I would say Dalit Amos even.
You would say Dalit Amos.
It's a Malcolm, yeah.
I hear it, maybe. I don't know. Why Dalit Amos? Why Dalit Amos?
Well, a Malcolm.
Listen, I would say a sports thing now, but Shmuel David would get extremely angry with me, so I'm not saying it.
That never stopped you before. Go ahead and say it.
I'm not saying it.
He'll have to wait. He'll have to save it for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, 10 to 9. Tune in on these same channels, and you'll hear the mushal. Eastern time, Rafe. Eastern time. If you're in Chicago, it'll be 10 to 8, and Phoenix, it'll be I don't even know what time. Yeah.
I got excited. You were moving it up.
Yeah, sorry.
Why? What are you thinking? You're thinking.
No, I don't know. If you just touch the Gemara, it sounds like he walked back all the way. That's what it sounds like.
Not practical.
I think you could learn all the way.
It's not practical, but the truth is from the Gemara.
He's still walking. He's still walking.
What Mehechatesi Shlomo HaMelech was doing any walking at all. At the very least, he was on the back of a horse. So he sat backwards.
Backwards.
You're saying he was on a horse and he sat backwards on the horse.
Either on a horse or in a wagon, something. He wasn't walking.
That's a
Shlomo HaMelech wasn't walking from Givon to Yerushalayim.
That is a yeshiva way of getting out of this. You turn backwards on the horse and let the horse go forward. That's.
I mean, it's easier for me to understand that than to tell me that Shlomo HaMelech walked from Givon to Yerushalayim.
No, but that's what he's saying. So he's saying the art scroll says it brings down that it's not. That's what he's saying. That they didn't. He turned around at some point.
Yeah, because for some reason they're imagining that he walked.
They're saying,
why would he walk?
I hear that point.
At some point, you're going towards Yerushalayim. It's not about leaving Givon, but it's going towards Yerushalayim. When we daven, we're supposed to be towards Yerushalayim. He's going at some point. You turn that spot. You spin that.
You mean he's not walking direct. It's not a direct straight line. How are you saying?
No, I'm saying at some point in the travel of anything, like we have the same with Shabbos, right? So Tuesday at that point is the flips Zman, right? So at some point you're stop leaving Shabbos and you're starting to approach the next Shabbos. Same thing. At some point you're not leaving Givon anymore. You're approaching Yerushalayim. So at that point, that's what we have to touch up, no?
The kodesh of Yerushalayim only came about because of the base of Mikdash. Shlomo HaMelech hadn't built the base of Mikdash yet.
Yeah,
meaning the whole reason why he was going to the Bama which had kedusha over Yerushalayim, which did not have the base of Mikdash yet. So I don't know if that's a taina.
There was always kedusha in Yerushalayim.
Not to the same degree as the Bama. There's a reason why he went from Yerushalayim to the Bama.
That's where the Bama Gadol was set up at that point. That was the big Bama at that time. Yeah.
Correct. It was the Rashi says it was the Bama that Moshe Rabbeinu had built somehow. But that obviously at a higher kedusha level at that point than Yerushalayim. That's why he had to schlep to the Bama.
Yeah.
Why can't the child be when you don't see him anymore? That's it.
That's Mashra from the next Gemara. That's true. That's true. Okay, let's see Vaito. Maybe we'll get some clarity on this. But anyways, so the Kohanim ba'avoda, the Kohanim also when they do the avoda, they also have to go back out. Uleviim b'duchnon, and when the Leviim go on to the duchen, right? I thought Kohanim do duchening, right? Kasha means the Leviim on the bandstand. Right? That's what it means, right? V'Yisrael b'maimadon, and Yisrael when they're standing there, meaning so everybody is supposed to turn around. When they leave, they don't turn around their face and go. See, that's an interesting lashon. They turn their faces and they go out, meaning they don't go. It sounds like they don't go backwards. They just have to turn their faces to show some form of covered, but you don't have to do it backwards.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When they have the military parades and they're going past the president and the generals, they walk straight, but they turn their faces to the bandstand to look at the king.
Is that so? Yeah.
Yeah, you look at the films of military parades. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So that's what this sounds like. That's very good. So that's what this sounds like. But it's an interesting halacha because you see a few people do this. When you leave shul, you see anybody turn around and walk out that way? You do it.
Back out.
Few people. You back out. Yeah.
The building or the basement? The base measures or the building?
You see it by the kaisel when the people leave the kaisel. It's very obvious. A lot of people.
But really, but also when we duchen and we leave, we always back out.
Backed out, right? So, but the olam doesn't do it. When they put the Torah away, they don't turn around and back out. Some do, some don't. You do, Gershon does. Okay.
You also do it after getting aliyah when you're taking the steps down.
Right. The Velt doesn't seem to do it. I don't know what. I don't know what the shot is. You do it.
I do it. Yeah.
I think it's a sensitivity thing.
No, it's. I'm as far as I forgot to look it up, but I think it's in Halacha. As far as I remember, it's in Halacha. I don't remember who says it, but it's in Halacha. I believe that. I'll look it up for tomorrow. Okay, but anyways, there's a v'chein Talmud.
If you said it was a minhag, people would do it.
That's if there was a schooler, doctor.
Right.
It's an Indian. It's an Indian.
An Indian, right?
Yes. Certainly, it was a minhag they would do it. But say it's halacha, so what?
No, Indian beats minhag. Indian. Say it's an Indian.
Yeah.
Well, you say it's a zach. It's a zach.
Right. A schooler beats them all. But okay. The Talmud and Nifter me Rabbi lo yaser panav yelech ela mitzadid panav oilech. So a Talmud also that's leaving from his Rebbe shouldn't turn his face. He should just go sideways. Ki hadar Rabbi Lazar could have a mifter minei Rabbi Yochanan. When Rabbi Lazar would leave Rabbi Yochanan, could have a boy Rabbi Yochanan the skuya. When Rabbi Yochanan wanted to leave, have a gochen koi. He would stand up, right, and he would bow. I'm sorry, have a gochen koi Rabbi Lazar ba'aduchte. Rabbi Lazar would bow in his place, right? Ad dahava mirsi Rabbi Yochanan minei, until Rabbi Yochanan, until he got far enough away that he couldn't see him anymore. Right? V'kad hava boy Rabbi Lazar l'skuye, and when Rabbi Lazar wanted to leave, hava ka'azal la'chayre, Rabbi Lazar would walk backwards ad mirsi minei Rabbi Yochanan until he wouldn't see Rabbi Yochanan anymore, and that's when he turned around. So that's what Zev is saying, that that's how far away Shlomo turned from Givon. Right? Okay. Rava, but to hear the problem is what did Rava had have a mifter minei Rabbi Yosef. When Rava left Rabbi Yosef, now Rashi is going to say on the base, Rabbi Yosef was blind. So Rabbi Yosef had no idea what Rava was doing, which is an interesting concept, because do you do this for the Rebbe to see you, or do you do it for yourself? Right, but if is it covered at Torah if the Torah won't know about it?
What do you mean? Do you stand up if the Rebbe lost all his Torah and it became senile? He
No.
doesn't know?
That's
any
that
different?
for sure. You have that. You for sure. We said that a while ago that you have to have that. No,
Why,
but here we're talking about
why do we stand up when you open the Aron?
because this is for the cover of the Torah.
The Torah doesn't know.
I don't know. I don't go with that because we cover over the challah by kiddush because we don't want to embarrass the challah. You know what I mean? So
if the Rebbe was
inanimate
blind,
objects,
would you have to stand up?
Yes, inanimate objects seem to have feelings.
So how could a Talmud Chacham be any worse?
True, but yeah, that's nechanami. That's you're right. I think that's a good point. But whatever it is, the chiddush, one of the chiddushim here is that Rabbi Yosef didn't even see Rava, right? So hava azala chayre, he would walk backwards adam and nagfon kare until his feet got nogaf, it got damaged. Umisvasvan eskufta de Rabbi Yosef dama, until the what do you call it? The doorways of Rabbi Yosef's house got full of blood. That's because he was walking backwards, right? He walked straight backwards. He didn't walk sideways. That's what it means. He walked straight back. So he kept bumping into things. I think that's what that means, right? So Memela, he got injured, right? But still, that's the way Rava did it, right? So that means he must have not turned around for a while after he's bumping into things. So Amru, so they're going on the base. So Amru Leila Rabbi Yosef.
If in a very like now we had in the Giant Stadium. So the Adam Gadol, if you stand up for him and you're sitting up in the nosebleeds, he can't. Adam Gadol doesn't see if you're standing or not. So you're standing even when he doesn't see you, and he has all his faculties. There's no way he's going to see.
Right. Didn't they say stories of Gedolim who stood up and put on their hats and jacket? Reb Shlomo, didn't he? Did he do that? When he used to talk he would put on his hat and jacket. Yeah.
No, he saw it by there was a Rav he visited. I had a town Rav who's a Chabad Chassid.
What did he do?
This Rav. And when he spoke to the Rebbe on the phone, he put on his hat and jacket before he spoke to the Rebbe on the phone.
Moshe did that when Rav Shlomo Zalman called him.
Was that a
Zoom? Yeah, I think Ramosha also. I remember hearing something about Ramosha that also he would do that.
This is before Zoom calls. Can you imagine what they do on Zoom calls?
Yeah.
Yaakov, I remember when your father was sick when Nosson Tzvi came to visit him. He got dressed and put on his hat and jacket.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I also get dressed most of the time, but that's putting on pants.
Michael, you would just have to put on your pants, right? Without the Zoom call.
Yeah, but here we're talking about a phone call, so nobody would see it.
Yeah, that's true. But so Kol Shekain on Zoom. Kol Shekain. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, so I'm related to Rabbi Yosef. The question is, if you put your background as a hat and jacket, does that count on Zoom? Right?
Yeah, Jesse would be good. Would be good.
Yeah.
I'll work on it.
I don't know what Landau's background's going to do, but all right. Yeah.
Well, if you put your background standing up and you're really sitting.
I'm just too lazy to clean my room. So this is easier.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so Amru Leila Rabbi Yosef. So they told Rabbi Yosef, Hachi Avad Rava. So Rabbi Yosef didn't know he did this because he was blind, Rashi says, right? So they told Rabbi Yosef, this is what Rava did. Amru Leila Yehi Rava, the Troim Reishech Akula Karcha. He should be lifted up. His head should be lifted up on the whole town. Meaning, Rashi says, and this Rabbi Yosef saying that in this chus, Rava should be the Rosh Hashiva. And the Tosis Yeshanim says, I think it was the Tosis Yeshanim, no? There's no Tosis, the Rabbeinu Chananel. Sorry, Rabbeinu Chananel says that there's no Tosis Yeshanim on this stuff, so it can't be him. Right? So Rabbeinu Chananel says that he meant that we're going to paskin like Rava. Because he did this, we're paskin like him. Which is that's pretty much what happens. Fine. Okay, so Amar Rabbi Alexandria. So Rabbi Alexandria said, "B'shem Rabbi Shu Amar Mishu ben Levi, Hamaspalal tzarich sheyivsa shalosh psiyas la'achayrav." Somebody who davens has to take 3 steps back when he's finished davening. Va'achar kach yitain shalom, and afterwards he says shalom. Yeah. So Amar le Rabbi Mardu, we'll get to that the practical in a minute. Amar le Rabbi Mardechai kimin shapasa shalosh psiyas la'achayrav. Since he took 3 steps backwards, Hasami Baile Lamekam, he has to stand there. right? Mashal a Talmud a nifta mirabba. It's a mashal to a Talmud who leaves his Rebbe. Im chayzel alter. He goes back. He goes right back immediately. Daimon lekelev sheshav al kiyah. It's similar to a dog who's going back to its spit, to its spit up, whatever, to its vomit, right? It's vomit.
I never saw the analogy. I never saw the parallel.
Yes, it's not a pashut mushal exactly what it is, but it seems like if you left your Rebbe and you go right back, so then what'd you leave for in the first place, right? So the same thing if the dog throws up and it walks away from it. So then if it goes right back to it, so that means that shows that it doesn't look at it like it's so bad. So then if you leave your Rebbe and you go right back, so that means it just looks like you made a mistake by leaving in the first place. Why were you leaving? I mean, if you left because you have to leave, okay, so you have to leave, right? But if you left and then came back, so then what are you doing, right? Why'd you leave in the first place? That's something along those lines would be the mashal. Yeah. So Tani Nami Achi, I'm a spal tzarch yifsa shalosh psiyas la'acharav. Anybody who davens, he needs to take 3 steps back. Va'achakach yitain shalom, and then he says shalom oisa shalom. And if you don't do this, it's roy that he shouldn't have davened. Meaning, better not to daven than to not take the 3 steps back. Right? Okay, I don't know. I don't have a pshat in that. I don't have a pshat in why you would.
Why, when you back up, you have to say shalom? Why dafka shalom?
What? But why do you say dafka oisa shalom?
Yeah.
No, that's the way the chachamim were masakin. You finish off Shemona Esrei.
What's the time of the krog? So what's the time?
What?
What's the reasoning for that?
No, you're davening for shalom after tefilos over. You're davening for shalom. Then you stay back and then you say yihi ratzon that you daven for the base of mikdash so that we can do legitimate tefillah. Right?
Shalom has to do with binyan base.
I'm assuming that I can't say for sure, but I think that shalom is the only way we're going to get back to base of mikdash is with shalom, believe it or not. But that's why
there was the destruction. I mean, because
you say Oyster Shalom who Yasa Shalom I'll call Yisrael. Then once we have Shalom, then we'll get back to the third base of Mikdash. Then you say Yehi Ratzon that we daven for the base of Mikdash to come back. Right? That's what I think.
What's the shot that women say it by the mikvah?
Women say what? Oyster Shalom?
No, the Hiratzon, no.
Well, that I don't know what Yiratzon they say. I haven't the faintest. I guess I should know.
I thought somebody said that they say the Hiratzon by the mikvah. No,
do they? I have no idea if that's what they say.
How do you not know?
Because I don't deal with the inyonim and the schoolis. I deal with the halacha, for better or for worse. So I don't know. I have no idea. But anyway, so here's the thing. So you're supposed to take the 3 steps back. This is a mistake that a lot of people make, unfortunately. They start taking the 3 steps back and they're saying Oyster Shalom while they're taking the 3 steps back. You see it by Chazanim also when you say Oyster Shalom by Kaddish. No, you take the 3 steps back, then you start saying Oyster Shalom. Right? The way you do from Shemona Esrei is 3 steps back, then say Oyster Shalom b'Roimov, left, right, and then you bow to the left, bow to the right, which we'll get to in a minute, and then bow to the middle. So you have to make sure you finish. Another interesting thing is you see a lot of times Chazanim, after they finish Chazaras Hashatz, they take the 3 steps back, right? Because when is the Shatz taking the 3 steps back? So they take the 3 steps back. The halacha, the pashut halacha, according to most opinions, is that the chazan is not supposed to take 3 steps back. You know when he takes the 3 steps back? After kodesh tiskabel. Kodesh tiskabel is considered the end of his Shemona Esrei. Then the chazan, when he gets back, he says, Oyser Shalom b'Roimov, after Tachnun, right? Or after tiskabel, right after Ma'ariv. That's when the chazan's 3 steps back take place. That's why the chazan is not allowed to talk from Shemona Esrei till after Kaddish Tiskabel. He's essentially still in middle of his Shemona Esrei. Right? On a Monday and Thursday, if the guy's a chazan, he shouldn't be during Kriyas HaTorah or when they're naming babies or saying Mishabeirachs or Kelmoles or whatever. The chazan really shouldn't be talking.
Is that all about tefillos? That applies to all about tefillos?
L'chayra. Then there's another thing. There's another fallout from that. Is that
Aron, no comments over here. No comments.
I wanted to get it clear from the Rav. That's all. I didn't say anything.
And then another thing is that you can't swap balei tefillah, right? If you swap the bal tefillah by Ashrei, a lot of shuls swap the bal tefillah. How can you swap the bal tefillah if the guy hasn't said Oisa Shalom from his Shemona Esrei Mazar Sashatz? He gives it over to somebody else. So yes, there are makilim that we do it. I mean, really the pashtus is that it should stay one chazan straight through because he hasn't said his Oisa Shalom yet. Okay, whatever it is. Fine. Okay, weiter. 3 wide lines out. You gave shalom to your right, and then after that to your left. Shenemar miyamina eish das lamay. Right? From his right hand, he's giving the Torah. And it says another passuk, right? 1,000 are gonna fall, and 10,000 is gonna be at his right. Why do you need 2 pasukim to tell us about the right? So if you're gonna say no, that's the regular. You always do things with your right. Right? Here we have a pasha thing that it says beferish that it's 1,000 to the left. You're gonna knock down 1,000 to your left, 10,000 to your right. So you see another passuk that says the to the right is much stronger than the left. Fine. So now according to this, you're supposed to say Oisa Shalom to your right, not to your left. Right? We do left, right, middle when we bow. Oisa Shalom to the left, Yasa Shalom to the right. So according to this Gemara right now, you do right and then left. So Rava Chazila Abaya, the Yav Shalma Liyamina Beresha. So Rava saw Abaya bowing to the right. It doesn't mean to go to your right. It means the small didach kamina. We're saying you go to your left. The havi yamina shel kodesh baruch hu. You bow to the right of Hashem. Right? Which is a very interesting thing. So you're not, when we're bowing to our left, right? I don't know if it dawns on people, we're supposed to do everything to the right. So how come by Yosef Shalom we bow to the left first and then to the right? Because we're doing to Hashem's right. We're bowing to Hashem's right, which is our left.
Right.
What? We're doing it backwards, right? And but it's interesting that Rava's straining out Abaya, and Abaya doesn't seem to disagree with Rava, right? Abaya didn't say, "Oh no, I mean it means our right. It doesn't mean Hashem's right." Seems like Abaya agreed to Rava, which was Rabbi Yosef's bracha to Rava, according to Rabbeinu Chananel, right on the top of the Amud, that he should be the Rosh and people should listen to him, right? That's according to Rabbeinu Chananel. Okay, fine. Amar Rav Chia Berei Rav Huna Chazinu Lul Abaya v'Rava. He said, "I saw Abaya v'Rava the pasilu shalosh psiyas b'kriya achas." They took the 3 steps back with one bowing, right? Which is another thing that people don't chap to do. When you take the 3 steps back, you're supposed to be bowed already. You bow, then you take the 3 steps back, and then you bow to the left, right, and middle. You don't take the 3 steps back, standing straight up, and then bow. You're supposed to bow and go back, and then left, right, and then middle. Yeah.
They say from the Chassam Sofer that he was magpid to go all the way down like Moiden for Yisrael Shalom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he brought a raya from the Gemara in Amud, I think. Where's the Gemara about? Or was it here? When the Gemara with we just had it before. With the Gemara where he sent him to the Churban to daven and he bowed 7 times.
Oh, for
each time a head fell off the shade. Yeah.
Yeah.
The shade was 7 heads. So the Achronim bring it. Where are the 7 kriyas? So Yisrael Shalom is 3.
Oh yeah, Taka? That's interesting.
Yeah. It has to be a real Achra from that Gemara.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Now what happens if there's no room to take the 3 steps back? So that's where you see people go to the side. And also when there's a guy behind you within 4 amas, you're not allowed to take the 3 steps back. So then you should really stay in your place or go to the side. Fine. Okay.
That's the worst.
Well, when the guy's right behind you?
You have a from guy in front of you. You have a from guy in front of you, and he's not going to go because even though there's a table in between, and every 2 seconds he looks back to you to see if you finished yet.
He goes, do.
Because he wants to be from a guy. He keeps on turning around looking. Did you finish yet? Did you finish yet? That's a pet peeve of mine.
Aaron, maybe you should change your seat.
No, these guys follow me wherever I sit.
You sit in the front, right next to Rosh Hashiva. You won't have this problem.
Get the misah back. You won't have the problem.
Rabbi, I saw Rav Shmuel Orbach in Eretz Yisrael. There was one of the Shibalach, and I was with a Rebbi, and he ended up going back in front of somebody. And Shmuel told him not to. What told him? He ended up bringing this. The Rebbe showed up Shmuel Orbach a das Torah that called this guy behind him a barbishus rab.
Oh yeah,
it's a tshuva from Reb Moshe.
He said he shouldn't have been there. Wherever the place was, he shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been there.
Because you can't, because you're a mazik, right? So they say because you're a mazik, because you're damaging the rabbin.
Moshe said about that. Moshe said about that yeah, it's a barbishus rabin, but it's still a boyer. You want to step in a boyer? Go ahead.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so let's see.
The train is in front of you. Put a chair in front of you. So if somebody's davening in front of you, there's a
yeah, but okay. Some say if it's movable, it doesn't work. I tell you the real mistake. I like to see. This I see when people make a mistake. They think that if the guy's directly in front of you, then even if you're 100 feet away, you can't go back, right? That's a big mistake that people make, right? I've seen this many times. The guy's like way in the front of this, and there's a guy davening that comes in late behind. The guy won't take his 3 steps back. Whatever. Anyways, lace wigs. What should I tell you? Okay, I had to fit that in somehow. Okay,
that's the grub. That's the grub.
Cool. What? That the girl says you should do that?
Are you saying that the woman are makbid also?
I don't know.
I believe the Gra brings that when he brings the Gra says there's one stira between Tyrus Nigla, Tyrus Nister that he can't answer. That was the Nigla. This? No, but Nigla the Tyrus Nigla says that Daladam is behind someone who's davening, you're allowed to walk. In Nister, even the Daladam is behind someone, you can't walk. That's theory he couldn't answer. But he says in front of them, I believe, I'm not sure this is from the ground himself, but I think he says, but in front, the whole way to the front of the base medrash, you can't move.
I hear. Is that okay? So maybe they're gronics. I don't know. I thought that's if they're walking.
So
if they're sitting, I thought that's if they're sitting. Okay, I face.
You can't sit. Sorry, you can't sit the whole way to the front.
Yeah, that's sitting is a different story.
Oh, I think about the whole thing. Yeah.
I'm talking about
walking
just walking.
You can do.
Yeah.
Walking you can do. And sideways you can also do, even within Daladamas.
Yeah.
If you need to, sideways.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back. It's getting a little late here. Mispal tefillah katzara. We missed the brachas days. This is a bracha stuff. Yeah. So mispal tefillah katzara v'ezachitzin. So on his way out, the kohen gadol says it's tefillah katzara. My matzli. What does he daven? Rav bar Avada, Rav bar Avada, Tavayu Mushmei Rav Amri. That this year should be kshuma or shchuna. It should be rainy and hot. What does that mean? Shchuna, you see, is hot and maila, right? No comment from the Phoenix section. Elaima or the Florida either.
Phoenix is not humid, so we don't get rainy and heat. That's
all.
Florida.
It's dry heat.
That's right. It's dry heat.
124 degrees, but it's dry.
Today was 106. It was a dry heat.
There you go. That's like having all the meat dried out, like beef jerky. Yeah. Anyway, so if it's very hot, it should be rainy, which Phoenix obviously missed out on the boat on that tefillah, right? Because it's not raining there either. But that's what it's saying. If it's going to be hot, then it should rain. Fine.
Is this why the minhag? Yeah. Is this why the minhag in many places by Yom Kippur Musaf, they skip all the hirotzins at the end? They just skip to the rest of the shots because the Mishna says tefillah katzara.
Oh, it's a good point. I don't think that's the reason, but that would be a good point. Anyways, okay. So Rav Acha Brei Rav Messiah b'Mishmei Rav Yehuda, his version of the tefillah was Lo Yadei Ovid Shulton with the base Yehuda. the person who's in the person who's in charge, the shultan, the people in charge of the Beis Yehuda shouldn't be removed. And nobody in Klal Yisrael should need to have parnasa one from the other. And the tefilos of the travelers shouldn't come in front of you. Meaning, because people that are traveling are always asking for good weather. Good weather means there's going to be no growth because there's no rain. You need rain for everything to grow. So if you keep listening to the tefilos of the travelers, so there's going to be no rain because they never want rain. So therefore, you shouldn't listen to the tefilos of the travelers. Reminds me of my father in the winter when he would come visit Eretz Yisrael. He said, "I don't understand. I don't want it to rain. How am I davening? How am I davening for V'sein Talamota?" So he said, "I daven V'sein Talamota at night. During the day, when I'm sleeping, it should rain. The rest of the day, it shouldn't rain." That was his version of the tefillah. So I don't know why the Gemara doesn't say that. Okay. Anyways, Reb Chanina ben Dosa have a ka'azul be'orcha. Reb Chanina, a fascinating story here. Reb Chanina ben Dosa was traveling on the way. Shadam mitra alei, and which is also an interesting lashon. The rain was thrown on top of him. It sounds like it dafka rained on him. I mean, and him and nobody else. Maybe you could say that's a pshat. I mean, l'chayra just rained. The Gemara's lashon sounds like the rain went on him. The whole world is benachas, and I'm in tsar, right? Because the whole world was very happy about they had what do you call it? Agriculture. So mainly they were happy that it's raining, and he didn't have anything, so he's bitsar. Passuk mitros, and then the rain stopped. So kiyasa lebeise, when he got home, Omar, he said, Rabban Shalom, kol olam kule bitsar, v'chanina benachas. Now the whole world is bitsar because they own fields, and it stopped raining because of me. And I'm at home, and I'm benachas. So also mitros, and then it started raining again. So he obviously had a lot of powers. So Omar of Yosef, Maya Hanyule Tzluse the Kohen Gadol Reb Chanina ben Dosa. What is the Kohen Gadol's tefillah? What is that going to do next to Reb Chanina ben Dosa? Right? Meaning he clearly had a lot of power. More power than the Kohen Gadol. It sounds, that's what the Gemara seems to be inferring. Yeah? Fine. Tana Rabbana. Ma'aseh b'Kohen Gadol echad sheherich b'tefilah. So there was one Kohen Gadol that was ma'arich in his tefillah. He davened a long tefillah, right? The Gemara said, the Mishna says he should do a short tefillah so he doesn't get everybody nervous. So there was one Kohen Gadol who davened long. And then his brothers, the Kohanim, were getting together to go in after him because they thought maybe he died. So as they were going in, he came out. So they told him, so why'd you daven for so long? He says, it's very hard. Is it bad in your eyes that I davened for you? And on the Beis Hamikdash it shouldn't be destroyed. So they said to him, don't do this too often. Right? Because we learned because we learned that you shouldn't have a long tefillah in order not to scare Klal Yisrael. That is a fact.
What's wrong if they got scared?
You mean you're saying it's a good thing? Hazal Litvak that you are. Yeah, so.
No, I'm asking.
You give someone a heart attack.
What's the issue? What's the problem?
No, because Klal Yisrael is going to think that they didn't get a kapara because the Kohen Gadol died. Right? So that's why.
Maybe they'll pray for the Kohen that everything should go well.
First of all, so from this story, it's Masha, right? Every kid knows that they tied a string around the Kohen Gadol and they pulled him out. This Gemara is mashma that they did not have that.
Why?
Right? Otherwise, why are they going in after him? They should have just started pulling on the rope, and he would have chapped.
He didn't have enough trouble with the ketores. They tied a rope around his foot. What are they with making this guy totally out of his mind with 14 cups he's carrying and smoke and fire?
Yeah, I hear that.
Only walk in Amma in between the things.
Right. So that this
I thought this was with the rope. They couldn't go into the kodesh hakodashim, so they would pull the rope. Now there's already slack, so there's something wrong. That means the kohen gadol is already in the kodesh. Now they can go in.
Okay, I don't know. That's a stretch. I think that's all right. I don't know. Maybe
they couldn't go into the kodesh hakodashim anyway. What was the hava mina?
I hear.
The whole element is to go into the kodesh.
Right now, I hear that is another fascinating.
That's all the guys can go in the chachamim if they think he has a problem. The kohen gadol.
Yeah,
they'd be chayav to go in. No.
Well, yeah, maybe taka.
Yeah, that's if there's no rope. I'm saying that we understood there was a rope. So if there was a rope, there's a way to say it's not in the kodesh kadosh.
Yeah. Now there's a fascinating thing here because the Olam knows history a little bit. The Mishnayos was not written till way after the Churban. So what do you mean? They tell the kohen gadol, by the way, it says we learned in the Mishna that you shouldn't have a long tefillah. What Mishna? There was no Mishna. It didn't go for hundreds of years. There was no Mishnah. No, it wasn't. Mishnayos wasn't written.
It wasn't written until after that. They had Mishnayos.
So that's what you have to say from this Gemara. From this Gemara is a proof that they had some form of Mishnah back then, even though it wasn't officially formally a Mishnayos. Right? That's what you have to say. Some of the Mefarshim say that based on this. Okay, Zog the Mishnah weiter. Yeah, Mishnitel Aron. I guess we're not going to do an extra. Tomorrow we'll have to do longer. It's okay if anybody looks at Sunday night's daf. Sunday night will be the most favorite daf so far of this Daf Yomi. If anyone wants a sneak preview, right? So don't worry about us.
Now I got to turn 72 pages in the art scroll to find out.
I'm sorry. Let me tell you something. It's one page. It's going to need not more than one page in the art scroll. Sunday night's daf.
Do you learn Motzei Shabbos?
Motzei Shabbos, yeah, we do. Yeah, I don't know what's going to work for you though.
Probably won't.
We'll have to
about
see.
9:50, probably New York time.
Yeah, about 9:50.
Somewhere around there.
We try and stretch it. We'll try and schmooze.
Yeah, in that ballpark.
Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, Sunday night stuff I think is 2 lines. Or is it 3? Amud Aleph. 2. There you go. 2. Okay. It's a good thing because I have a dinner in Lakewood Sunday night. So anyway, so Zog the Mishna. Mishnitel Aron.
That's only one Amud.
Yeah, Naftali, but you're gonna do some.
We'll take what we could get.
Naftali, Shabbos afternoon, you want to do some toisless? All right,
no problem. I'm in.
Yeah. Anyway, Zog the Mishnah. B'shenitel Aron, when the Aron was removed, Evan Hoysa Sham, there was a stone there. Mi Mois V'im Rishonim. From the V'im Rishonim, V'Shasiya Hoysa Nikres, it was called Shasiya, right? Which we're going to go into through the Gemara what that was. Obviously, there's a lot of politics around the Evan Shasiya nowadays, right? Gavayim and Aretz Shalish Etzbais, it was only 3 fingers above the ground. And the kohen gadol would put the coals down on top of the Evan Shasiya, right? Remember, we said that he caught the dam. The kohen gadol caught the dam in a bucket, and he gave it to somebody to mix it so it wouldn't congeal. Right?
Isn't that line of the Mishnah against the last Mishnah?
Yes. Yes, it is.
3 Mishnayos that are all size for each other, back to back.
Yeah. And the Gemara is going to have more shitas. Yeah. So not all the time. He went into the place where he went, and he goes back to the place where he stood, meaning back into the kodesh hakodashim, right? And he sprinkles 1 on the top and 7 to the bottom. And he didn't try to aim it for the top or to the bottom. But he did it like a matzlif, which Rashi says he doesn't know where that word, he doesn't know what that word is, matzlif. But what it means is that he started at the top and he sprinkled each one slowly towards the bottom. Now everybody remembers this, hopefully from the Yom Kippur davening. Achas v'achas, achas v'shtayim, achas v'sholosh, achas v'arba, achas v'chamesh, achas v'sheish, achas v'sheva. Meaning that what's the achas? He sprinkled it once. There's 8 sprinkles going on here. He did 1 on the top and then 7 more. Right? So it's a Machlokes Rishonim. Why exactly you have to keep saying achas? So Rashi says, because he didn't want to get confused and by mistake do 8. So that's why he said achas, v'achas, it wouldn't be confusing. Okay. He went out and he put it on top of the golden pillar in the heichel. Then they brought him the goat. He shechted that and he was makabel it. He shechted it. So and he dropped the knife and somebody else took over and he went and caught the blood in a bucket. He went back into the kodesh hakodashim. and he stood in the place he stood. He did 1 on the top and 7 on the bottom. Yeah. He went and put it onto a second pillar that was meant for the goat blood, and he put it there. Rebbi Yehuda, they didn't have two pillars, one for the goat, the blood of the goat, and one for the blood of the par. They had one pillar. He would take the blood of the par and he would put down the blood of the seir. Yeah, because there was only room for one of them. And then he would go and he would sprinkle it on the curtain that was in between the kodesh, hakodashim, and the kodesh. 7 on the 1 on the top and 7 on the bottom. And he didn't try to do either on the top or the bottom. Then he put down the goat blood, and he put down he took the goat blood and he put down the damapar. Then he went and sprinkled that on the paraychos, and then the same thing. Then he did ira damapar l'soif damaseir b'nosanasa mole berekon. He poured the dam of the par into the damaseir, and then he took that and poured it back in. So he looked up sort of like what they did by Sheva brachos with the koises after Sheva brachos. 2 mix back forth. Right? That's basically what he was doing. Okay. Let's see a little bit more. So Zog the Gemara Mishnignas like a tani. It doesn't say after the Aron was nignas. It says Mishnita when it was taken. So what does that mean? Was it hidden like we said in yesterday's daf, or was it taken? Ella Mishnitl tanan. It says it was taken. So Kimanda Amar. Aron Gala LeBavel, that the Aron went and Galos to Bavel. To Tanya, Rebbi Eliezer Aimer, Aron Gala LeBavel. The Aron went to Bavel Shenemer, Ule Tshuva Sashana Shalach HaMelech Nebuchadnezzar V'Yeu Bebela in Klei Chemdas Beis Hashem. Right, so Nebuchadnezzar sent him to the Yachin to go take all the chashuv things in the Beis HaMikdash. So you see that the Aron did go out to Golos, which is different than what we learned in yesterday's daf. From Shimon Yechoya, Aron Golo LeBavel. They went out to Golos with Bavel. Shenemer lo yivasa davar Amar Hashem. There's going to be nothing left. Hashem said there's going to be nothing left. Right? Elu aseres hadibros shaboy. That's the aseres hadibros that were inside the Aron. That like we just said yesterday, like the opinions that we had yesterday, that it was hidden in its place. Right, so it says that they put the poles, right, so that you would see the poles that held the Aron was sticking out, and it's there until now. So what does that mean? It's there until now, right? So it means that they hid it. The pliga de ula, and he disagrees the ula. Damar ula shal. Rabbi Masya ben Cheresh is Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai b'Raimi. He asked him in Raimi, "B'chimei achash Rabbi Eliezer milamenu pam rishon of shnia Aron Gadol LeBavel." It's that Rabbi Eliezer taught us once or twice that the Aron went out to Golos in Bavel. Rishona Hodamar, the first time he taught it, we just said it. It went out to Bavel. Nebuchadnezzar taken out to Bavel all the chashuv kelim from Hashem. Shnia, Mai. What's the second time he taught it? T'chsiv. And it went out from Bastia, now on Talmud Aleph. Kol Hadara, all of the beauty. My Kol Hadara. What is Kol Hadara? Chadara means the room, right? The room meaning the kodesh hakodashim. Ata, my Ata. So you, right? What do you say about? Meaning, what do you do with? What do you say about where the Aron went? Amrlai shani aimer Aron b'mekamin nignas. I hold that it was hidden in its place, meaning it never left, because it says vayarichu abadim, which is exactly what we just said. The badim were long and stuck out. Yeah, should we stop?
Is this a kasha? Is it Stira and Reb Shimon ben Yochai?
No, he's explaining what he said. Yeah, hold on. So, okay, I guess we'll stop here. But there's a kasha on this last limit, but we'll take it up tomorrow, Bez Hashem. So 5 to 6 tomorrow, Bez Hashem.
Michael,
We don't finish it tomorrow. We'll do Motzei Shabbos.
You got big props at the beginning of this year. You weren't here.
Yeah, I knew that I was gonna get it, so I didn't want to come on. I didn't want to get to my head.
Okay, good.
By the way, I don't know
I'm
the
not going to tell
connection,
you
but
now either. Then I'm not going to tell you now either.
No, but it's a good kasha. I mean, the whole mitzias is that it would spoil.
The Rogatchover asked your kasha. The Rogatchover asked your kasha.
Somebody texted me today that the Rogatchover asked you kasha about the mon. Hold on, I'm trying to look it up now. Right, you asked it right about the mon. How they put the mon into
the whole mitzias is that they couldn't. If they not only that, they had a knas, right? It would spoil if they took too much. No.
Yeah, but that's taking too much. That's being greedy and taking too much.
Overnight.
No, the point is you took what you needed, and then you couldn't have leftovers. It would spoil until the next day.
I'm sorry to say, I don't understand the question. You're not allowed to take more than you need because it's
but you can't have leftovers.
Let me finish.
Too much.
I understand. Let me finish. Okay, forget it. Let me finish.
Okay, so finish.
You have a thing with your amuna that you're going to have enough for today and you're going to get more tomorrow. You have to work. It was a whole amuna thing. And on Friday that you're going to take for today, it's going to last until Shabbos. It didn't spoil on Shabbos. It's all in this. So what they put into the Aron was excluded from what got destroyed. There was a reason for it. It says it in Parsha. It says it in the Torah that they put it into the Aron. And it was excluded from that. The fact that yours got destroyed was because of your amuna and your bitachon, and you were failing in that. What's the question of how they put something away in the Aron? It was excluded.
It didn't expire because you lack a bitachon. The mitzias is that it.
Of course, how come it didn't expire on Friday?
To take extra.
It didn't expire on Friday.
Naftali's right.
Yeah.
Naftali's right.
But if you took two on Friday, it didn't spoil because it was 24 hours. It lasted. It was a nace.
Right, exactly.
Only if you took too much and you didn't have a moon and Hashem that He would provide for you for the next day.
Otherwise, it would last if you decided.
Yes, you took two on Friday. You took two on Friday.
You're supposed to take two on Friday,
right? So if it was a time thing that it would spoil, then the one Shabbos day would be spoiled, but it wasn't.
Take it up with the Rogatchover.
So the Rogatchover here, he says this guy posted.
Yes, doesn't mean he doesn't have an answer.
This fellow posted from the Rogatchover that we learned this yesterday. Agav, I don't think we talked it out. That the Aron took up no space, right, in the kodesh hakodashim. So he tainas there's no time in the kodesh hakodashim either. So therefore, it's not. You like that, Gershon? I see Gershon like. There's no time either. Time since. So therefore, it's not considered leftover.
I think this is the answer to what I said before. This is why the minyanim, they will say all the tefilos at the end of Chazar Sashatz by Muslims, because he was still in the kodesh hakodashim. So the kodesh hakodashim, there was no time.
In the kodesh hakodashim, there's no time or place.
So Yaakov used mechaven to the Einstein before Einstein.
Oh, that
or maybe around the same time as Einstein.
The guy that posted this on Twitter says that he said Einstein. He said he's
mechaven to theory of relativity.
That's what it seems. Yeah, I wish I understood all that, but
on a very
time and space level, are directly related to each other.
Stolb's going to fill you in. Stolb's going to fill you in.
At least he's bringing a riot from a yid.
Makes sense.
I hear.
They lived at around the same time though, so it's not like it could be he was inspired by Einstein. I don't know.
Let's go get 1 minute.
By the way, I don't know if there's a connection, but there's he Ratzon. All the women's mitzvahs, you say it. So I don't know why you don't know that, but
why should I know what women do with their mitzvahs?
I don't understand. You never got a question, nothing about it. Yeah, he Ratzon for all the women's mitzvahs.
There's no one year Ratzon.
Challah, candlelighting, and mikvah.
Three different tefillos.
You say the bracha, and then you say the Hiratzon afterwards.
Well, let me just tell you something, all right? To say Hiratzon in the mikvah with Hashem's name, I think is halachically not so pashut. It's not even pashut that
you say the bracha.
Right, that's really doichik to say the bracha. You don't have a choice; you have to say it. The poskim tumul, how you say that bracha.
So why does the I looked up online? It has a laminated sheet and it has the bracha and the Hiratzon right after.
I guess
If it
you
has a
must not have-
laminated sheet, it has to be correct.
I
I'm
guess
saying this is it's a thing. I don't know why this is
I
surprised
guess
everybody.
if you're
You
searching,
certainly can't hang the
mikvah prayers-
laminated sheet in the mikvah.
If you're
Maybe have the
searching
bracha.
Naftali,
I only
if
know
you're
this because
searching-
Erev Rosh Hashanah, you go to the women's mikvah, yeah.
You
If
can't
I
hang
thought
the
it-
bracha with Shem Hashem.
If you're searching for on the internet online for mikvah tefilos and all that, you obviously don't have a filter.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just, but that's what I say. You're here, Russell. This is not a, okay. I don't know.
Too much time on your hands.
Yeah, I wish.
This was the hack that was happening when I came on to Shir, and you said,
Oh,
I guess you
no,
might
that
have
was a
different idea.
cycling.
The Rogachev, this kasha from Michael's kasha about how did they
That was
leave
what-
over the month. Yeah, that's what we were hunting. Yeah,
I like this. Yeah.
I'll send you a picture of it. I'll send you a picture of the.
Oh, it
thing.
makes a lot of sense. Something that doesn't hold any space means it's not from this world. There's no Yeshus. Same
Right.
as Kelvin. You know what Kelvin is? The temperature thermometer,
Yeah.
Right.
way of measuring temperature. So the idea is that any, what makes heat? It's energy. That means there's something moving. There's a transfer of energy that makes heat. So, which works the other way too. As long as there is something moving, there is heat, which means that even at negative 70 degrees, there's some form of heat. So zero, ultimate zero,
Which is
means-
negative 3,200 or something, no?
whatever it's
Absolute zero.
200
It's called
something.
absolute zero.
Absolute, that's right. That's absolute zero means that there is no energy there. So it's impossible for any Yeshus to be there. There can't be any physical being, which is
To
why
live-
they
to
haven't
live
yet
under
gotten
that,
there.
under those circumstances.
Well, not to live. They can't be cellular matter.
No, I'm
All
saying an
cellular
organism,
matter has energy.
to live under those that temperature.
Well, even without life, a rock is not alive, but there are cellular movement in a rock.
So a rock
So
cannot be in absolute
Yeah.
zero.
Absolute zero can only exist without any physical matter.
Okay.
I mean, that's the
Covered a lot. We
Yeshmayim.
covered theory of relativity. We covered.
That's right.
Doing good, man. This
That's
is a
connected. It's all connected.
full
Time and
rounded,
space is related.
a full rounded shear.
Listen, Naftali,
Yeah.
you live in a cartoon world. You are the biggest group.
Very good. Very good, Akiva.
I thought you were going to tell me how the theory of relativity works.
Not yet. I should be saying.
All I remember is that if you're on a train and you throw something while you're on the train, the velocity equals the velocity of the train that you are moving at.
That has nothing to do with this, but that's interesting.
No, velocity's
if we keep
lower.
How about the approach of when we have this year before on Friday afternoon? Would it be true to say that the amount we contribute in terms of paying for Shabbos would be absolute zero? Never mind.
Yeah. Did you get a minion, doctor?
Who's the new
off?
member on the
He
shul?
left. He just left.
Who's the new member on the in the Zoom from Chicago?
Oh, he's an old Chayashu guy.
What's his name?
Old
Paul Greenspan.
Rafe Greenspan. I think it says his name on there. We introduced him to the Olam, I think, but Rafe
Came
Greenspan.
late.
His mom is from almost
The
from the
old,
original.
old Shayashiv.
I'm an old church.
No, older.
Oh, we're talking about Aaron Horowitz's
Yeah.
Tufa.
Yeah.
Wow. Don't I look like I could be in that Takufa?
You're getting there. You're getting there.
By the way, you should just
Talking
know.
about, what's his name that lives in Sfat now? What's his name?
Weingart.
Weingart. That's what we're talking about.
Wow, it looks good. Can I know? By the way, you should know, Sviakov, I was on to this question. Am I allowed to dye my beard white like I do?
You're
I
allowed
dye
to
it
go
white. I dye it white.
You're allowed to go white.
It was a joke. I said I dye it white.
I understand. It's looks pretty good, I have to tell you.
Thank you. I got to shave.
Yeah, I know, with that
I
Florida
remember
heat,
the
I don't know how you
days
deal with it.
when I first came to Shayashiv, I remember the long sideburns, right? Yeah. Remember?
Yep. Those are the days. Good old days. The good old days.
Yeah.
Naftali, Landau, you still there?
Good night. Nope, he's out. All right.
He's out? All right.
Fine.
I need some more shilas. I just realized today when I sent you that message before, the Dam Nekev and Asachalav, I need to think more in halacha. If you don't want me to send you anything back, I won't send you. That's fine.
I got enough things to think about.
So you don't want me to respond to anything?
What do you mean?
If you send me one of those shilas again.
Oh, you can respond, yeah. But,
well, what's with the what you just said in the mikveh, making a bracha? According to the Taz, doesn't the Taz come out lemaskana that the waters are hefsek?
that's what we say, but there's another thing that it's a mokum for that is called.
What's a mokum that's roya pnei arva?
No, it's a merchatz.
The base of merchatz.
Yeah.
I mean, even though,
Anyways, all right, I gotta sign off. Say.
All right.
10:20.
Yashikaya.
All right, Zagazant. Good enough.
Halt